I'm on vacation this week, but the show must go on. So in this video, I'm identifying 8 of my favorite wines that sell for around $50 a bottle. There should be something for everyone, as there's red, white, and sparkling wines, as well as 6 different countries and 7 different regions represented. I'm very excited about this first wine for $50 a bottle. It's one that I've never before featured on this channel. It's a wine that was very much under the radar for a number of years. However, recently, their quality has soared, and it's one of the best values that I know in Bordeaux. This is a property that was acquired by the owners of Château Lagrange not so long ago. It's a 5th classified growth in the 1855 classification of Bordeaux, and is located in Pauillac. This producer is located in a prime neighborhood, as its neighbors include La Tour, Pichon-Lalande, and Lynchbage. Since Lynchbage acquired the property, quality has soared, and it's been making some of the best wines ever to be produced by this estate since 2018. So definitely focus on the vintages that are beginning with 2018 and continuing through the present. Haut-Batailley owns 41 hectares of vineyards that are planted to 62% Cabernet Sauvignon, 36% Merlot, and 2% Petit Verdot. Their wines age for around 20 months and 40% New French Oak. This is a wine that you can enjoy somewhat younger, but it's better with 7 to 10 years of age on it, and it should cruise in the cellar for up to 2 decades. The climate in Douro, Portugal is aptly described as 9 months of winter and 3 months of hell. But these harsh conditions create the next top wine for $50 a bottle. And no, it's not a port. This is a wine that comes from an outstanding producer that traces its roots way back to 1716. I'm talking about the 2019 Quinta do Vallado Reserva Red. This is a wine that's a field blend. It consists of up to 35 different grapes from vines that range from 60 to 100 years old. So certainly very impressive old vines. While there are as many as 35 grapes that go into this field blend, there's a substantial percentage of more well-known grapes such as Tinta Roriz, Triga Franca, and Tinta Barocca. This wine ages in 50% new oak for around 18 months or so. It's a powerful concentrated wine that checks in at around 14.5% alcohol by volume, but it's not cloyingly sweet or jammy. It's made in a more classic style. It's one that I enjoy very much. It will definitely be better with another couple years of bottle age, but it should cruise in the cellar for at least 2 decades. This is a highly acclaimed wine that was well received by critics, and it's definitely an excellent wine to try if you'd like to explore Portuguese wines. The next top wine for $50 a bottle comes from iconic German producer Dönnhoff. Dönnhoff traces its roots way back 250 years or so. It owns 28 hectares of vines. This next top wine for $50 a bottle comes from a 1.1 hectare single vineyard. This single vineyard has loam and volcanic soils and is located right by the river. Better still, this wine comes from the highly acclaimed 2021 vintage. I'm talking about the Dönnhoff, Oberhauser, Brücke, Riesling, Spatlese. I'm a big fan of wines with pronounced aromatic intensity, and this one certainly fits that description. It's an intense, mineral-driven wine with racy acidity. It's a thrilling wine that overwhelms your senses like very few wines can. The next top wine for $50 a bottle is produced by a Willamette Valley producer named Bethel Heights. Bethel Heights was founded back in the 1970s and is located in the Eola Amity Hills AVA. Eola Amity Hills is one of my favorite AVAs in Willamette Valley because it has a unique microclimate. Specifically, it benefits from cool afternoon breezes that are funneled from the coast to the Eola Amity Hills through the Van Duzer corridor. This results in cooling afternoon breezes that help to extend the growing season and produce wines of elegance with lots of freshness. The 2021 Bethel Heights Aeolian Pinot Noir is 100% Pinot Noir. It spent 8 months aging in 37% New French Oak. This wine features impressive purity of fruit and concentration. It received a 95-point score from Robert Parker. This is a wine with flavors and aromas that include cherries, raspberries, rose petals, hints of spice, and also forest floor. If you're interested in wine recommendations, wine collecting strategies, and learning more about wine, Please do subscribe to my channel. I've been collecting wine for more than 15 years and also have a level 4 diploma from the WSET. So I have both formal certification as well as substantial practical knowledge from the School of Hard Knocks. I recently did a video on some of my favorite Italian white wines, but I'm also a huge fan of Spanish white wines. So the next top wine for $50 a bottle is a Spanish white from outstanding producer Bodega Muga. Bodega Muga is a family-owned producer that was started back in the 1930s. While they do utilize traditional winemaking principles, they also embrace modern technology, and they have a heavy focus on quality. So the next top wine for $50 a bottle is the 2019 Bodega Muga Flor de Muga Blanco. This impressive wine is a blend that consists of 40% Viura, 30% Grenache Blanc, and 30% Maturana. The Maturana Blanca grape is almost extinct. There's only around 37 hectares left in Rioja, of which Bodega Muga has about 8 hectares. This is so because producers don't like it since it's known for producing low yields. Yet Bodega Muga is a big fan because during vintages when it's able to get ripe, it can be extremely impressive. This wine had a pretty interesting winemaking process as well, as it was fermented in oak barrels with indigenous yeasts. After that, it was matured in concrete egg for around 3 months, followed by another 6 months in new barriques that were produced by Bodega Muga's own cooperage. This wine received some excellent scores from critics. It has impressive acidity, which is contributed by the Maturana Blanco grape. It's definitely a wine that I think you would enjoy. It clocks in at around 13% alcohol by volume. It's one that will improve with a little bit of additional bottle age. So if you can resist it for another year or two, I think you will be rewarded. The next top wine for $50 a bottle is a wine that's well represented on the wine lists at many impressive Michelin restaurants, such as 11 Madison Park and Saison, both of which have 3 Michelin stars. This wine comes from Paitin, which is a producer located in Barbaresco that traces its roots way back to the 1700s. This wine is the 2019 Paitin Barbaresco Serraboella. Serraboella is one of the most impressive crus in Barbaresco. It's known for producing wines that are a little bit more like Barolo. And 2019 was certainly an excellent vintage as well, which is a welcome relief following some uninspiring vintages in 2017 and 2018. Those of you who lack patience can enjoy this one when it's young with an hour or two in the decanter, but it's definitely one that will cruise in the cellar for up to 15 years or more. With champagne prices soaring dramatically, it's very difficult to find a high-quality champagne that sells for around $50 a bottle. But this next historic producer traces its history way back to 1584 and makes one of my favorite multi-vintage champagnes. This impressive champagne is sourced almost exclusively from Grand Cru and Premier Cru fruit sources. This producer has a house style that I really appreciate because it's characterized by no malolactic fermentation and by extended lees aging. Impressively, they age even their multi-vintage wines for about 4 to 5 years before they're released, and the fact that they don't use malolactic fermentation means that this wine has some impressive acidity. I'm talking about the Gosset Grand Reserve Brut. When you're evaluating a champagne or any sparkling wine, really, the lees aging is important because the longer the period of lees aging, the more complex the sparkling wine will be. And it's this extended lees aging that can produce descriptors such as biscuit and brioche and reduce the intensity of the green apple descriptor. And I'm definitely a big fan of the brioche and biscuit characteristics, and so that's always something that I look for when I'm evaluating a champagne. This Gosset Grand Reserve Brut is an equal mix of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay and also has 10% of Meunier in it. It's based on the 2017 vintage, and there's also around 8% of reserve wine included in the blend. One of my favorite sources to look for high-quality value wines is Saint-Julien on Bordeaux's left bank, and Château Lagrange is one of those producers that does a tremendous job making high-quality wines at a very reasonable price point. Château Lagrange is a third classified growth in the 1855 classification of Bordeaux. They use an extremely strict selection process for their top wine, and only about 1/3 of the harvest makes it into the top wine. So it's also a producer that makes an excellent second wine. The vines average an impressive 45 years of age. They typically use a blend that consists of around 80% Cabernet Sauvignon. There's oftentimes 15 to 20% Merlot, and there's usually around 1 to 2% of Petit Verdot included in the blend as well. For whatever reason, I was able to find more of the 2019 vintage in the supply chain than the 2020 vintage, but this wine is typically one that sells for around $50 or a little bit more every vintage, and they've been on quite a tear lately. So it's definitely one that I would recommend checking on a pretty much annual basis, although 2021 may be a little bit weaker than some of the other more recent vintages. I've made a number of these top wine videos at price points ranging from $15 a bottle all the way up to $100 a bottle. And so if you enjoyed this video and you'd like more top wine recommendations, be sure to check out the playlist that's in the pinned comment below.